In this video, we're going to look at some of the basics of studio lighting using a simple home studio kit. If you've never used studio lights before, or if you've always wanted to but never took the plunge, then this is the video for you. Over the next few minutes, I'll explain why studio lights are so brilliant and how they can take your photography to the next level. The best place to start with studio lighting is a home starter kit like this. They typically come with a couple of flash heads, power cables, modifiers, stands and umbrellas. With a kit like this and a few simple skills, we can produce professional, high quality portraits. If you already have a speed light, you might ask, why do I need a flash kit? Well, to start with, the flash head is more powerful and they're connected to the mains, so there's no battery required. Most starter kits will come with two flash heads, so we can light our subjects and scenes with two different light sources and change the strength of each using the controls on the back. Alongside the flash bulb, they also have modelling lights. These are constant lamps that go brighter or darker as you adjust the flash power, helping you to visualise how the flash will look when fired. The other big advantage is placement. We can put these heads wherever we like. In front of the subject, behind, to one side, and each position will have a dramatic effect on the look of our image. Setting up a home studio kit is straightforward. The heads go on stands and plug into the mains, and we can trigger the flash by attaching either a sync cable or wireless triggers to the camera. The sync cable connects to one of the heads. Then if we want the other one to fire, we can set it to slave, so that it detects the first head's flash and goes off at the same time. One of the great advantages to these kinds of lights is the sheer variety of modifiers and accessories that attach to the front, giving us control over the quality of light. For example, we can make it hard and narrow with a snoot, or softer and spread wide with an umbrella. Typically, a set comes with umbrellas or softboxes, or sometimes both. Both of these modifiers will soften the light, which is usually good for portraits. Look at the difference here between the bare bulb and shooting through an umbrella or softbox. The bare head produces much harder light with a deep, harsh shadow. Notice too how the shadows change between the umbrella and the softbox. While both produce soft, diffuse light, the shadow is deeper on the softbox, and that's because umbrellas throw light around everywhere, and it bounces off nearby surfaces to fill out the shadows. With a softbox, the spread is narrower, so there's more control. And softboxes also give you nice square catch lights in the eyes. As for exposure settings, it can be tricky to know where to start, so here's a basic formula for success. Set the mode to manual and ISO 100. Set shutter speed to your camera's maximum sync speed, usually 1/200th or 1/250th of a second, and set aperture to f8. Now fire off a test shot. If it's too light, I could adjust my exposure by closing down the aperture. But I don't want to do that. I like my exposure settings as they are. Remember, here we control the light. We don't let the light control us. So instead, I could change the output of the light by dialing it down. Now it'll kick out less light and give me a better exposure. Of course, if my initial test shot is too dark, then we do the opposite. Another option would be to move the light further away from the subject. In accordance with the inverse square law, if I move it back double the distance, I get a quarter of the light. So you can see why distance plays a vital part in lighting. Of course, if my initial test shot is too dark, then I can do the opposite, either by moving the lights in, pumping up the power, or adjusting my exposure. Once we're comfortable with one light, we could try adding in a second. Lit with a single light, the shadows on the face are rather deep. So what I'd like to do here is lift those shadows with my second light, but I don't want it to overpower the first, so I need it to fire at a lower power. But how do I do this? Well, I turn off the first light and attach my sync cable to the second. I want this second light to gently fill the shadows, so I dial down the power to get an underexposed shot. Next, I can turn my first light back on, and with both lights working in harmony, it gives me an elegantly lit portrait, using a classic key and fill setup. Whenever we use more than one light, things can quickly get complicated, so this is how we keep it simple. We build the lights one by one. And another great thing about using two lights is that we can turn one onto the background to change the look of the image. In this setup, the umbrella faces the backdrop and is fired at a higher power than the key light, which is a softbox. This way the umbrella blows out the background, and because some light is reflected back towards the face, it also gives us a nice edge highlight along the cheek. So there we have it, that's how to get started with studio lighting, and a few things to think about for beautiful portraits every time.